Can we please just, it's 12 just to give others a chance to join?
We hope you will enjoy everything that we're going to present today. And please welcome, we have a tech show which is going to be conducted by BSG. And I hope you are going to enjoy everything that is going to be done today, because we have very interesting talk in store for you. And also questions that you may ask will also be attended to. Again, this is for you to be able to understand what is in the industry for you, and also what people are doing in the industry and what is required in the industry. For example, today we are going to have talks about cloud computing, which is part and parcel of the new technology that we have, and you will be able to know more about it when we'll have the presenter conducting it. So we need to, I just want to encourage each and every student attending here just to be able to listen keenly and ask any question that you may be having, so that you can, or it can be answered by our tech industry that are here today. So please feel welcome. And without wasting any time, I would like to give this time to Mr. Mark Durrheim, who is going to give us some talk on cloud computing. So cloud computing, most of your students attending today, I think you do understand what cloud computing is and the importance of cloud computing, which obviously now today's talk is going to dwell on that, mostly along the cloud storage. So without any further ado, please welcome Mr. Durrheim, who is going to give us that talk now. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Good morning, everyone. It's an exciting one, and there's a lot to say on the cloud computing. So, important one is this session. I'm going to definitely be watching the chat, because I definitely want to know where you're at and what you're understanding. So be a bit interactive there. Yes. So let's just dive in a bit, just about who we are, and why we're people who talk to you on this. So firstly, just apologies for Ivani. He was excited to be here, but he is sick, and we do our best, but he needs some rest. So myself, my name's Mark. I've been at BSG for just over 6 years now. I did my studying at WITS through to my master's in computer science, and I'm building myself up as a full stack developer. I've realized I never found anything I wanted to specialize in, so I found the beautiful specialty of being a generalist. I just want to do a bit of everything. So I spent a lot of time Java backend, direct SQL into databases. Then I've transitioned into doing Angular front ends while keeping those other skills, as well as some cloud stuff. It's I enjoy doing a bit of everything. So this is now starting to leverage some of the cloud experience I've had, and this is, I think, always playing with different technologies, and whatever gets the job done is what I think interests me. So, Sanele, if you want to introduce yourself a bit.
Okay, so morning everyone. My name is Sanele, and it's an alumni. So I did my undergrad and postgrad, specifically my honors at UKZN in the PNB campus. And it's been about 4 months since I've joined BSG, and I'm just happy to be here today. Thank you.
All right. And I think as we dive in, I think it will be good just to take a moment to explain, like, who's BSG and why are we someone who can talk to you on this. So we're a technology consulting company, which largely works with our big corporates, so lots of the banks, insurance companies, because they've got all the money. But also, I've had some cool stuff in healthcare. We'll get involved with energy, telecom, so all sorts of problems. And that's what I really like about consulting means that we don't just get assigned to a project and that's it for our career. You get to move around. So I've worked in banking, healthcare, insurance, and a little bit of research and development on the side of those. So the variety is something that's really cool here. And the kind of problems we're doing, what I'm currently working on is modernizing an old system. So taking something that was built 20 something years ago and let's build something better and new. And then we've also got some really cool stuff in terms of the data. That's the big buzzword now. But if you hear about data warehousing, insights, the new thing is instead of just data lakes, something called a data mesh. We're really getting on top of those and delivering some really cool stuff at some major clients now. And other than that, it's really helping clients see what's happening. We work at the level of, also advising our clients. So from giving the advice of where to go with their technology, and then as our part of developers, making that a reality. So I've really enjoyed what I've learned and done for the last 6 years. And yeah, that's all through partnerships. But how we do that? Whatever technology does it best. We're technology agnostic. We don't come along saying AWS or SAP are the solution to your problems. We will always find the best one. And sometimes it will be those things, but any of those. And I'm building myself up as a full stack developer. We've got people who specialize more in their Java backend. We've got front-end specialists, all sorts. So that's enough about BSG, I think. And we'll come back to that later. But I think importantly, let's talk about cloud and cloud storage. So first thing I want to check in, and we'll be checking the chat for this, is if anyone would be able to help us know what do we mean by the cloud. We'll need to chat a bit on that, as well as then looking at storage. That's our focus for this session, is different types of storage. And examples of that, pros and cons, and I'll give you a small demo of some of the cool stuff that storage in the cloud really enables that I found very interesting, and the benefits therein. So we can get to typing or hands raised. I think the big question is, what is the cloud anyway? It's always sometimes feels nebulous. So either type in chat or raise hand. I just want to hear from some people how they define it. And there isn't just one answer. So don't hesitate if you feel that it's not the perfect answer. It's generally going to be a merge of a bunch. Over there. I just want to hear who can hazard a guess. Or give a full definition. I also accept that. It's still in the fluffy thing in the sky, indeed. Those are clouds. But yeah, they don't store much of our data, unfortunately. And it is the thing, it's a good marketing term, makes you think that the data is just going off away. But, any other guesses? Yes, it is. Yeah, we do store some data. There's a very important part. And the challenge with these is there's so many parts to the cloud, and that's why you have a couple definitions tied together, and they'll still all make sense and be true. Anything else? Otherwise, no one else is hazarding a guess. Let's talk a bit about some of the things I would say in the cloud. If I were to call it a general thing, it's a whole bunch of servers and let's see, you store data virtually on access. Yes, that's pretty good. The key thing is, the most important part about the cloud is it's someone's cloud. Yes, infrastructure is important, but the most important part is the cloud is someone else's computer somewhere. It's not some nebulous thing. There's somewhere your data, your information is on someone else's machine, and you're trusting them to manage those services, that data, and that's the key thing. It's been abstracted. You don't need to worry. You hand it over, and it's sorted out for you. And to hop into just some examples, all of you are using the cloud because your phones are generally backed up by I definitely hope you've got your phones backed up, because anytime you've had to switch phones, if yours has been broken, stolen, or just upgraded, you can just log in again and all your data and apps are there. It's really cool. But that's because if you're on iPhone, it's been backed up to iCloud, or if you're on Android, it's to Google Drive. Those are cloud services, and you also will have those, things like Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox on your personal computers. Now, why do we use those? That's the things that almost everyone uses some form of cloud storage like that. The alternative is, you just get yourself a good old school hard drive, plug it in, copy your files every time. Hopefully you do it often enough, put it away. But then if your house were to burn down, you don't have any redundancy, because if your hard drive is there, laptop are there, or if the hard drive breaks, then you need multiple hard drives. And then you go drop it off at a friend's house to look after it and hope they keep it secure as well. And then synchronizing, maintaining all of those is a lot of work. And I think that's a lot of the thing of the convenience. These things just automatically sync and save you from that. But important thing about cloud storage is to remember what it would be like if you were doing it yourself. And all those concerns about the work of ensuring it's up to date all the time. So you're not manually syncing a hard drive. Is it redundant across multiple locations? Those are also things you're going to be thinking about with all this cloud. So if you were to try do the same thing in terms of ensuring your backups are safe, that's what you're basically doing by asking someone else to manage it. And that's the key thing about the cloud. You know it's somewhere out there and you're relying on them to be taking care of all that. But those are our common things for everyday people. Let's chat a bit about the specialized things you'll get online. And that's what us as developers really start playing with, is how we can make our services that people use more useful through products which, and this is where the cloud's important, is that then we're going to people like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and other cloud providers for their services that enable us to do stuff like this. So you can just have a virtual drive, which you just upload files to like any other thing that's a cloud file storage. But there's so many nice things where it can simplify your experience. So you've got object or blob storage. You might have heard of the Amazon S3 buckets. That's blob storage. You just put whatever files you want there. You don't need to worry about what file formats, how it's structured. It can just go and just work. And that's the beauty of some of these services. There's databases which you can get to, which you can just have a MySQL database in the cloud, sure. But then you can also start getting fancy with these managed databases where you don't need to worry about upgrading your software, how big your hard drive is. The cloud provider can handle a lot of that for you, and you get fancy ones like Azure Cosmos DB. And there they also start taking care of things where I've had it on previous projects where we had to manually ensure that our databases were synchronized. We'd have a Cape Town database and a Joburg database, and sometimes they disconnect, and then we had to refigure out how to synchronize our databases. But if you've got a managed thing in the cloud, you're then trusting Microsoft to do that for you, or Amazon, and that's really what it gets down to there. And you also get very specialized offerings. Amazon has Redshift, which is a data warehousing solution. And there they've pre-set up a lot of the things that would take you ages to do yourself. And you're paying for convenience with a lot of these things. And something that steps a little outside of storage, but I think is very important. I don't know who's heard of a CDN, these content delivery networks. They're very important to your video streaming things. So if you're watching YouTube or Netflix or any of those, if you've had one where it takes a long time for the video to buffer, I had that. There was a smaller streaming service I was supporting, and it was taking ages. I couldn't watch their videos. It was taking so long to buffer. And I messaged them and asked, well, what about South Africa or your servers somewhere in the US? And there, what they can have is these delivery networks. You ensure that the data is close to the people who need it so that my response times could be better. And they sorted that out, and I've had a great experience since then. But that's also the key thing there, which we'll get onto, which is the benefits of cloud. And that ties into global availability. Since you've got a cloud provider and someone like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, they've got their data centers all over the world, and you're leveraging that. Since with my example where I had hard drives, I was like, mine are, I can't do them anywhere further than where I can conveniently drive. And that's my level of redundancy and availability. And if my computer crashes and I don't have my hard drive on hand, too bad, I can't get my backups. But because my stuff's stored in the cloud, yeah, I know I could travel overseas, and so long as I can log it in, I can access my data. That stuff's very, very powerful. And then similarly, if you want to get your data out there, you can ensure it's distributed through places so it's easy and fast for people to access. And that ties to the reliability. You're relying on these companies that specialize in just ensuring that your data is there available. And I'm generally trusting if my stuff's on Google Drive, it's not going to get lost. There's no, you can't guarantee 100%, but I think it's far more reliable than anything I'd set up myself. And that's what you're looking for there. Yeah. The convenience as well. I don't need to remember every month to back up my stuff. It will do it all the time for me, and it works. Then a nice thing with your cloud storage as well is it can be very cheap. The economies of scale come out very nicely because you've got your cloud provider like Amazon's got millions of hard drives. They're buying them in bulk. So you're benefiting from just that sheer size of what they're buying. And the flexibility is very nice. You'll find with some of the databases, you don't need to worry about how big the hard drive you get. You can have auto scaling, or you can just switch it up. If you're running out of space, all you say is make my hard drive bigger, and the cloud provider can just increase the space you've got. And that's very important for anyone who's looked at startups. They can build all their stuff. If they suddenly take off, they can handle more customers because they can just upgrade the infrastructure with a couple of clicks. It's very powerful with that. And one which I'm going to tie back to here is the automation and integration. It's nice to have your automated backups with your general cloud providers, but the real beauty, and something I want to get into now with our cloud, is integration. Since there's lots of services in the cloud, it's not just storage. There's computation, all that, is how easily you can get your data that's in the cloud to work with other services. That is very powerful. So I'm going to just take a few minutes to talk about a little thing I hacked together that uses Azure Logic apps to pull up Azure storage. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what that is and just show how what I've hacked together. It's far from perfect, but key thing is that we've got something going. So what I've got here, and I hope some of you have played around with something like Microsoft Azure, is I've set up a simple thing where I've got a storage container. Now, blob containers, it's like having a file system, except it's simpler. I just have some folders. I've got a KZN demo storage account. And that's just something where I can put tables, event queues, or blobs. And I've just got a little container called Faces here, and I've been uploading some images there. And my idea is, if I had a website, I want to just get a notification each time someone signs up or adds a picture. And that's the beautiful thing here. This is effectively a folder, but I can trigger automations of what's happening here and make that very easy. So to give some idea of what the objective here is, Logic apps are very beautiful. It's a low-code drag and drop thing where you just need to do a bit of, you need to do some connecting of all these things, but effectively what I've done is told it, if there's something uploaded to my Faces folder, get the image and then send me an email with the content there as an attachment. There's quite a lot going on there. And to give a sense of that, this is where building up some time and learning how to do things bit by bit go in the cloud. So I knew that's what I wanted to do, so I just created a storage account and my Logic app in Azure. And as things build up, and there's quite a lot of good guidance for this. So if you ever want to play around with these things, they're good. Also check whether or not you can score any free credits. I don't know if your university has any free credits, but I know some institutions do have things where Amazon and Microsoft can give some free stuff. But what I've got is a communication service that then needs to go through an email communication service, and I've even got my own little domain. So I have a a no reply email, or that you can set this up in a few hours if you want on this. And so the idea here is I'm going to then upload something which should trigger our thing. I'm going to be a bit impatient on this, and I'll just manually trigger it as soon as I've done an upload there. Yes, and so this, this is an important idea of thinking cloud natively. If you just have a thing that you're creating in terms of, you've just got a file system, a virtual machine online. What's going to happen there is it's the same as you just have your own server. Thinking cloud natively is very important in terms of how do you leverage the benefits of the cloud. So what we can do is firstly just to know that I've got an application that links to my little cloud bit here. So because it's just easier, I've installed the Azure storage and I've got my pictures of people. Now, convenient thing here is that these are just AI generated people from this person does not exist.com, so I don't need their permission to use their faces because it's no one's face. In some ways, everyone's face. So I've just uploaded here one of our faces here. And now if I go into this Logic app, I said, I don't feel like waiting for it to trigger automatically, so I'm just going to do a manual run of my pipeline here, which once we see goes through. It's a step-by-step going to run through, picks up that something's changed, goes through and sends me an email. We just wait a little moment for my email to refresh. And this is a very small little demo, but the important thing here is to see. Here we go. It sends me an email with an attachment. Is the power of relating things like this. Because my data is in the cloud, I can now very easily integrate with my other services like Logic apps, which then can trigger into more complex features. Logic apps, I just use it because it's very quick and easy. But you can imagine all sorts of other things you can do. You can get yourself automated notifications. That's a very common thing with this kind of technology. You have something every day, they'll run through your procedure, send other things through. I can then get things loaded into my cloud databases. And I've got effectively unlimited space, so long as I pay in a little bit. So I've got some free credits through our Microsoft partnership. And I can just keep this going and it automates and scales beautifully. And that's just a quick idea of what you could start playing with cloud things. The integrations into other systems are wonderful. But I've been talking a lot about how great cloud is. And I want to see if any of your thoughts are what are the challenges or things that might detract from cloud? Because everything has pros and cons. And if you've got any considerations what the cons are, because I won't only be talking about how wonderful it is, but there are challenges. And the most important thing I want you to take out of this presentation is weighing up and have an informed decision about what the benefits versus the consequences of working with cloud stuff is. If you want to, just any of your thoughts, there's quite a few things I have against cloud as well. You don't need to be very shy. You can take lots of guesses. Security, very important. I'll see a few things come through there. Let's see, since there's security, that's also an important one to think about with, as my example of my hard drives. Like, am I just copy pasting onto a hard drive and leaving it in my desk drawer or at a friend's house? Do I need to encrypt my own hard drive? Comes the same idea there. Or do I need to lock the desk drawer it's in or just hide it very well under my jackets? Is it? Always need an internet connection. That's very important. I'm sure you've had it if you've been at a shop or anywhere where they say, oh, our system's down, we can't do anything. And that's a major problem. And I know definitely there's lots of places where it's challenged and you can still be smart about it. I know there's a bunch of you here. I'm sure you've got more ideas. Yeah, the connectivity, and that you can get smart. I have seen some things where they really work on. You can, if you can continue your operations online and then synchronize them online, that's important. Real challenge is in what if the data is lost between it being done locally and online? So that's where lots of things will go off there. But while people think, let me chat a bit about the ones I also felt. One thing, I'll talk on the security there. There's a key thing of trust, and the fact that control ties into that as well. Security means you're trusting in that case, Microsoft Azure. I'm trusting Microsoft to keep it secure. But if someone hacks the Microsoft system, they've hacked my system as well. But I also trust that Microsoft's got better security experts than me. So you're kind of weighing that up and you're putting your eggs in their basket. So that's fine, but there have been times they found vulnerabilities in some of the major cloud providers. And with security, there comes privacy. You're also trusting that they're not snooping all over your data. And yeah, they say they don't. They talk about keep it encrypted, then they can't. But that does come in, and that ties into the next part of it. There's been lots of recent legal cases where there's talk about should Apple decrypt people's iPhones. There's a whole thing of privacy, whether they should be able to, whether it's their business to, or who should. And could someone maliciously do that instead of Apple? There's major things on privacy there, and that comes down to control, because you're handing the data over. Now, it is to the benefit of the cloud provider, for sure, that they are doing so, because people are not going to do business with them if it's found to be compromised, but things can always happen. And what I alluded to there is legal jurisdiction is a major one. So where your data is stored, although there's servers all over the world, it matters which servers we use. You'll notice there's things with the POPI Act, there's the European GDPR, and America, there's also got data protection. But if your stuff's stored on American servers, the FBI can issue a warrant to look at your data. It's not it's within their legal jurisdiction, not South Africa's. So that's where it became very important as the major cloud providers in the last few years got their own data centers here in South Africa. That means it is that we can put it here. And that's all the controls, but then in South Africa, we don't have all the services at the same price necessarily. So we've got to weigh it up, especially with sensitive data. Where it is so important there. And now, a very important one is vendor lock-in. This is the one that scares a lot of people, especially something like a bank or any major corporate, is what you notice there. The law demo I did only works on Azure. I can't copy and paste my Logic app into AWS. They do have their own version of that, but it's not compatible. I'd need to redo it from scratch if I was to put it in AWS. And so vendor lock-in is something that concerns a lot of people. And you might find there's the same thing you might feel that if you're on Android or iPhone, switching between the two, which I've done at a point, was incredibly painful. And yeah, some of my data just didn't get across either. So you can feel locked in. And one way that they do that is egress fees. Now, the cloud's wonderful. It's cheap, if not free, to put all your data into cloud storage. It's not necessarily free to get it out. So there are charges on the stuff getting out. And that's been a major thing. Some companies have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars if they've wanted to change. And so that's the thing to watch out for. And if you do small things, and demos doesn't matter. Now, if you're getting a business that's growing and getting larger, they lock you in. They make it cheap and easy when you're small with a startup. That's to watch out if you ever wanted to change your mind. But there's actually some recent news. Just a week ago, we were having South Africa, one of our competition regulators was looking at it. In Europe, there's also similar competition regulators looking at whether or not this is monopolistic and how they're locking people in. And these egress fees as possibly bad practice. So it's a thing to watch out for, but be informed of that. That's the one you don't notice when you're getting things set up. It's only if you ever want to change your mind, you might realize it too late. So I think those are the main things that I think the cloud's very powerful, and it's just to know when to use it. If you're playing around, just go for it, I think. Learn what's there and really leverage it, but always be aware of who's in control of your data and who's in control and can you get it back if you ever change your mind. So I think we're going to have some Q&A just after a bit of talking a bit about, I think, BSG more. I think we can have a consolidated Q&A and just a bit on how things have gone. I want to hand over to Sanele a little bit to talk about how he's been, since he was on the other side of this presentation just last year.
Thank you so much, Mark. So yes, I'll take you through my transition from university to the workplace and my move into Johannesburg, and then I'll touch a bit on what I wish I knew back when I was still in university, and then I'll just give you the first impression of BSG, of what I thought. So in terms of my transition to the workplace, my transition wasn't really that bad, and that's simply because I believe UKZN prepared me rather well. And what I mean by this is that UKZN taught me how to manage my time effectively, how to conduct myself professionally in the workplace as well. And there's also the aspect of UKZN teaching me all the programming languages and development tools which are currently being used in the industry. And there's also just points where you just need to keep an open mind. So I believe keeping an open mind, being open to changes and stuff like that is what benefited me a lot. And because of that, my transition wasn't really that bad. So moving on to my move from Durban to Johannesburg. So some of the challenges that one would expect to face when moving to another province is obviously adjusting to new cultures and language barriers, obviously. And there's also the aspect of understanding the social norms and the etiquette of the particular place you are moving to. There's also the aspect of learning about the transportation options available to you. Like, will you be commuting to work using a taxi, a bus, a train, or maybe if you have a car, do you know which routes to take when you're going to work? Stuff like that. And beyond that, there's also the aspect of moving expenses, right? And obviously finding a good apartment in a safe environment, a safe area. So fortunately for me, my move wasn't really that bad, and that's simply because of the support that BSG provided me. So BSG provided me with relocation assistance, and on top of that, there was also a friend of mine who was in a similar boat as me, so he was also moving to Johannesburg, which made things easier for me as I had someone to talk to, someone who could relate to what I was going through at that time. So yeah. And in terms of what I wish I knew back when I was still in varsity, I would say that I wish I knew how self-destructive procrastination can be. So I believe that my growth, as much as I did grow in university, but my growth would have been much more substantial had I not procrastinated as much as I did when it came to doing tasks such as projects, assignments, and stuff like that. So delaying to get things done is never really a good practice, as it can potentially mess things up for you at school, at home, really just anywhere in general. So my advice to you guys today would be that if you know that you have an assignment or a task due and you still have time, please work on that assignment or task when you get the chance so that you can provide quality work. And yeah, I believe that working on these types of habits, building these good habits while you are still in varsity is good, as you won't have any issues when you get to industry. So in terms of my impression of BSG, one thing that stood out to me a lot was how friendly the people at BSG are. And yeah, what I mean by this is that people at BSG are very kind, they are very approachable, they are very open, and I believe that being around people like this really lights up the workplace. And it also makes working at the office much more fun and pleasant for myself and I believe for everyone else. So although people at BSG are very friendly, they are also very professional and take great pride in their work. And what this means is that being around people like this is very good for one's growth, as you can actually learn from them and pick up these skills as well. So another thing that stood out for me was the amount of flexibility that BSG provides to its employees. And what I mean by this, just to give a simple example, so at BSG, you can be maybe a software developer for about a year or whatever it is, and then maybe later on you find that you've developed a passion for data analysis, maybe, or even data science or data engineering. So at BSG, you can in fact transition from one role to another as long as there's a good enough reason for it, as long as you are committed to that, and as long as I believe there's like some kind of pattern or what can I say, similarities between the role you are transitioning from and the role that you are transitioning to. So that's one thing that really impressed me about BSG. So now, Mark, can you please take us to the next slide?
All right.
So this is where I'm currently at. So I'll talk to you guys about BSG's bootcamp. So BSG's bootcamp is currently lasts about 4 to 6 months. And this is only depending on how well you can adjust as a person to the content that BSG is actually teaching you in this time. So within this bootcamp, they actually teach you everything you need to know about software development, like the front end, the back end, the cloud, and everything. So within these 4 months, you get exposure to a wide range of programming languages and software development tools, which are currently being used in industry. And yes, these are some of these tools. And I'm sure you guys, if you have done ISTN, you should know about Microsoft, not Microsoft, C#.net, sorry. You should also know about Java if you've done COM 102, COM 200, and I think COM 201 as well, since those modules go with Java. So some of these programming languages and tools are very familiar to you guys. There's also, for front end, there's exposure to Angular and NGX. So Angular is actually a framework, which is a JavaScript framework. We also get exposure to Spring Boot for the back end, and Spring Boot is basically a continuation of Java, so it's a Java framework. And you also get a variety of other development tools, such as AWS, Azure, and other cloud development tools as well. You also, I'm sure that if you have done ICM, you should know a lot about databases and about SQL languages such as MySQL or MS SQL. So you also get exposure to those type of languages. Thank you so much.
All right, and there's more to come. In a week's time, we're going to be going through NoSQL databases as well, like graph databases. So there's much more to come there. So I think lots of stuff, and these technologies may be different next year, since this is very much aligned with what we are using at our clients. So that's where the preparation is. What's real, and it's not just technology. We also do how do you manage your work? How do you collaborate? Code management, communication, collaboration. There's a lot of skills outside of just writing code that make a good developer. So it's all of that together that are very important. And we even get work on presentation skills. Now, you can see Sanele's been very well prepared on this one, so that's a good one there. Yeah. before we round up for questions and stuff, it's if you're curious, since the beautiful thing about the working world is that it should be a mutually beneficial relationship. We're looking for great talent so we can do really cool things at our clients, and you're looking for a place where you can grow and learn. And so if you do want to sign for us, we just need to, you can apply on our website, which will require your CV, ID, cover letter to say about who you are, why you want to do, as well as your academic results. Yeah, it's a chat to us. We're always excited to engage with people. I love chatting with people who are looking for interviews and getting to know people. So that's what it is. It's a relationship more than just a transactional thing when it comes to us. Yeah, so if you're curious, you can scan the QR code there. But I think before we go any more, I think I'd be curious if people have some questions. We've got quite a lot to talk about, whether or not it's you want to ask about some cloud stuff, Sanele's experience, especially just having come from UKZN to BSG, or me as someone who's been here for 6 years now, also came straight out of university after working my master's to here. So I've also got, I guess, a longer term view on that. Yeah, I'll be curious to know if there's anything you want to know more. There's a lot to chat about our journeys. Questions on things like LinkedIn. I'm not checking my LinkedIn all the time, but if you did message me there, I don't know. So are you active on LinkedIn?
Not so much, but I can reply to some.
Yeah. No. Yeah. If people there are, I'll make a point of checking every now and then. Otherwise, you can do either through raised hands if people want to use their voices, otherwise in chat if you want to know anything else. But yeah, that is what we wanted to share with you. So let's take it from there.
Can now give questions, Q&A. So anyone with a question, either you can chat here or you can send or speak so that we can interact and get to answer your questions. Otherwise, it's a nice talk that you've had, and you can see the opportunities that are there for you to pursue. So if coding is your passion, this is a very great opportunity for you to apply so that by end of the year, once you're done, you've got something and somewhere to start from. So thank you very much, and we wait for those questions and answers.
I see your hand. Thank you for being courageous and stick yourself out there. What was a regretted hand? That's often have at our meetings, people mean to do a clapping emoji and then they accidentally stick up their hands and get picked on. Oh, allowed to pursue your masters. Therein lies a good question. I have a tragic story where I spent actually 5 years while working at BSG working my masters, but that's a tale of procrastination. There was someone last year who finished their masters during the first year of study. There's another person who's been working with us for, I think, 3 or so years, who's now started their masters. I'd say, yeah, it's weighing up. It's a lot of hard work to do that on top of it. I'd say be very careful about thinking of doing it when you're doing your first year of work, especially if if you're changing cities, taking on the challenge of a whole new way of life in the working world. Also doing masters, which is hard on its own, is scary. It can be done, but if you believe you can be dedicated to it, otherwise you can take a pause for a year, first get used to working and then weigh up on that. It can be done, but you'll have to be putting a lot of extra time in on that. I think then, what was our next question there? So leverage cloud technology, empower businesses, society, environment. so yeah, our whole motto is to be a proactive force for positive change. So cloud, yes. So what it's to be enabling there, and the one where I found, where I worked on cloud the most, it was actually very exciting, is one of our hospital groups. So, and that was where we were really looking at how can we improve healthcare and things like detecting when outbreaks and stuff. There was all sorts of things we were able to do with the data and the cloud and data insights between different parts of the hospital there that were really cool. So I think that's a great example of where you start looking at how cloud could then enable them to do what they already do better and maybe some other things more. And so sometimes that can be as simple as just making the admin easier, because administration is terribly painful and often feels like it's using more of your time than it should. And how can we make that easier so people can focus on doing what they're meant to be doing is an important part of it. And then cloud often comes hand in hand with data due to how it allows you to consolidate things from different parts of a business. Because you might have, this is where it's important, you might have different departments and different buildings and even different cities. The cloud really allows them to come together in a central place. And with that, we have had some good success. Bursary programs for undergrad, I think I might pick on Zoe, who's on the line. I don't know that off the top of my head. If there's anything around that. Otherwise, so you can post something like that. Otherwise, there we go. I can't hear you, Zoe, if you are saying anything. Otherwise, we can always post in chat to get back to you. In the meantime, what was that again? Okay, so in the meantime, the experience since I've joined university, well, so it sorts out reply capacity there. So I know, Sanele, you're still in the boot camp stage, and in the next month or so, we're going to look to get Sanele onto the project. So what I had, we didn't have a school boot camp when I joined 6 years ago. I was put straight on an internal project at BSG where it's our people management, and we've got our own little social media here. That's just for us. But after that, I went to work at one of the major banks for a bit over a year. I worked in that hospital group. I built a cool application we use inside of BSG. And since then, I've been at one of the major insurance companies and done multiple bits of work there in terms of moving their data between old systems and new systems, and then building the interface for a new system that's very critical into how people get their money out of the system and understand how it works. So what's been very cool in that is that it's been an opportunity to change and try roles. I was curious about data engineering, and a slot happened to open up in a project where they need someone with data engineering, so I got to try it out. After a while staring at databases for over a year, they needed someone to do some front-end development, and I was willing and open to give that a shot, and I'm loving it. So the great thing at BSG, and we talk about people owning their career, and what we look for at BSG is people who are willing to say, I want to go and do things. You drive where you want to go, what you want to grow. And so there's people I work with who they love their Java and they just want to be the best Java dev there is. They can go that path. We might start in similar places, but we can explore and find where we want to go there. And I've been exploring the cloud a lot with my work there. And then I've been doing my certifications on Amazon and Azure to build up that skill set so that then the kind of work I want to do playing with this stuff and doing great bits of work, I've built those skills so that's where I can go with my career. It's the ability to be flexible and always, if I want to suddenly get on the AI side, we've got a great bit of people in data science and AI. I can transition there if that's what I find I'm loving. And that's really the powerful thing. So it's great. It takes intentionality to say, this is what I want to do. Here's how I'm going to achieve it. Setting yourself goals. That's the key there. And you can drive the shape of your career from that. Okay. I don't have an offhand thing of rocks. I'd say go for it. Don't hold back and try to get to us at BSG. I think it's the most important part is that you do your best and have a good attitude to learn. I'll say that above any specific marks. When I'm looking at someone, it's a holistic thing. Marks are just a small part of what makes you who you are. Let's see. Computational knowledge. So that's part of the beauty of the boot camp, is that we are going to build up it. And yeah, it's the thing with BSG, if there's something you feel you want to build up, that's where you focus. You say, this is the thing I want to work on. I'm going to be building up on that. Have a plan. And yeah, BSG does pay for you to be doing training. So I think, so are you writing your cloud certification just now? So yeah, so exactly that. So we encourage people and have training for people to build up experience, and then we don't just throw people in our project. There's mentorship within that. You've got people you're learning from around there. It's not we see someone struggling, it's not like, oh, they're not good enough. Our principles there is how do we build them up to be the best professional they can be within our environment. So you come in and you build up. It's experience is the key there, and have a good attitude to learning and trying is what's really going to build you up there. Thank you. Okay, cool. Thank you, Zoe, for the bursary side. So a little late on that one, but such is life. I'm hoping those of you who are, especially those of you in honors right now, will be looking to join us this side next year. So it's really cool, and I've been here 6 years. I've really enjoyed the growth I've experienced here. It has been wonderful, and I feel much better set up as a professional. And the thing is, you'll never feel ready before you come in, generally. It's always a bit scary because you get into a thing and you grow into the position. So, I guess it's so. If there's any other questions about that, otherwise, I'll keep an eye there. But thank you, everyone. Really enjoyed sharing this, and I hope there's something new that you can think about from it. Yeah, do reach out to us through the URLs that have been sent and all that. We're available and always eager to engage. So you probably can find me on LinkedIn. I do need to update that, but yes, I do see we've got a hand.
Hi.
Hello, yes, I can hear you.
Thank you very much. I actually have a question here. I can see that the Zoom session has been recorded, just like the one we were having on Wednesday. We had a similar session, but then there was a conversation that it's going to be uploaded on our emails. So I was wondering if this one as well could be uploaded, because that one wasn't uploaded.
Okay, I think the UKZN people can
the recording for Wednesday will be uploaded, and we'll also upload this one too.
That is a matter of today.
Yes.
All right. Would it be uploaded to our school emails or?
Yeah, I will send the recording to all the attendees, and it will also be on our TikTok website, and this will also be uploaded on YouTube, the UKZN YouTube channel.
All right. Thank you very much.
I discovered this morning that the talk I did last year was on YouTube. More me talking was a fun surprise. Okay, I think that's us. Thank you so much, everyone. Right, anything else from Houston and Clara or Professor? Otherwise, I think
Yeah,
that's
thank you
all.
very much for the talk and for the questions that were asked and the answers that you provided. It was very insightful, and I think students have learned something such that they can now concentrate and decide where to go, of which you present a very viable option that they can actually join you, and that would be very great. There's one student who asked about academic requirements. Could you talk about like what kind of performance? Is just a pass, or it should be a good pass, or what kind of pass?
A good pass helps a lot. The thing with us as a consulting company, we really are looking for people who are sharp and good, because we're not just any random developers out for rent. We're here to deliver as teams and do big changes within their companies. So you're going to need to be a bit above the pass for sure. We do have a preference for at least honors. Yeah, anyone's able to try reach out, and it's your marks one thing, but it's your drive to learn, which should be shown through your marks. That's the most important, and taking pride in the things you do is the key. It's something I don't just do great work for the fact that I'll get in trouble if it's not good enough. It's part of who I am that I'm putting out there when I'm doing my work, and that kind of attitude is what's so key for us.
Great, great. That is very much understandable. So for such a question, I think that would be great. The students do understand. So thank you very much. And I would like to thank you again for coming and for giving such a talk to us. And we welcome you next year in advance, God willing. So thank you once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, everyone, and have an amazing weekend after that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm.